Okay, so welcome to Brands for Better. Here we are with another episode. I'm so glad to have Khensi Nobanda. So thank you so much for being here. You are the CMO of NetBank.
Yes, I am.
You also have a CMO battle here at Creativity for Better. So thank you so much for being here. We will play a little game, our
Okay.
better nuances game. So we don't look for absolutes. We prefer nuances. So be free
I love that.
to answer as you want. And we are playing to uncover something of your brands, maybe your brand's shades of better. But if you want also some passion, dreams, choices, your passion. So I think everything that counts. Okay. So ready to go?
Yeah, really.
Okay. Okay. So let's start with some icebreak. So what do you actually do? But no job title.
Oh, wow. That's like explaining it to my grandmother, right? I've received that question. So what I do is, I'm just going to say I'm a marketing maverick.
You really say these things to your grandma?
My poor grandmother. It's like, what do you do? Okay, so what do I do? I am the one who sells brands and makes sure that companies grow. Granny, I make companies grow.
Yeah. More money, more
money.
money for everyone. For everyone. Okay. This is nice. But and outside of work, any hobbies, habits, ritual, or maybe a fun fact that isn't on Google that you want to share with us?
Yeah, so I mean, I've got a lot of hobbies actually. I read a lot. I find curiosity a really interesting sort of thing from anyone. If I meet someone who's curious, I love that. Like I met you and you asked me about my country. I always love people like that. I play Scrabble online. I generally have about 40 games with people from all over the world.
Whoa!
And you know what's interesting? During COVID, those Scrabble games, and I'd played with people for like 5-10 years. We'd never spoken. And during COVID, people were asking me questions like, are you okay in South Africa? Like someone in New Zealand. And we were asking each other questions because we were connecting on the Scrabble game and we played with each other for so many years. But yeah, so I play lots of Scrabble. I'm a runner. I did summit Kilimanjaro on the 9th of August this year, which is the highest mountain on the continent of Africa. It was really tough, but I'm glad I did it. And I love traveling actually. So I've traveled to 86 countries in the world. So I'm a massive traveler.
Quite a portfolio.
Yeah. The one thing maybe if you wouldn't find about me on Google is when I was about 23 years old, someone who met me liked me, and they were a comic artist or illustrator. I don't know. Anyway, they created a comic character after me.
Whoa! Yeah, so you are immortal.
Immortal now.
Immortal. Okay, let's dive a little bit in our core words, so the
Yeah.
better. What is your idea of a better life?
You know, for me, a better life, what I love about it is it's not perfection. It's not best. It's not perfect. It is about trying to every day do better than the day before. And I think as human beings, as brands, as organizations, that's the best that's what we can do. We'll never achieve nirvana of best, especially because people's opinions about what does best look like are so different. So even if you think you've done your best, it might not be best for someone else, right? But it is better for you, or for how you show up in the world, or for the type of work that you do, or how you show up for your family, how you show up for your husband and our dog, Samuel L. Jackson. So for me, that's what better is. It's never. I've got this concept that I learned from the All Blacks. Every time they would win the Rugby World Cup, there's a documentary on Netflix about it. The All Blacks have something called divine discontent, which means I celebrate my win, but it's never in, I want more. So, but I will celebrate. It's not like I'm discontent. That's why it's divine. I celebrate the win, but I also am looking at next what's better, right? And for me, that's what better means, is I'm okay with where I am and I celebrate it, but I'm also thinking about, I know I can be better.
Yeah, this is really nice. Really nice. So let's move on. Let's ground this word better, the elephant in the room. So what does better mean for your brand, for a bank?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a great question. So, our bank's purpose is to use our financial expertise to do good, which means we want to leave a positive impact on society, which is interesting for a bank, right, to say that. But we do it in so many ways. So, first of all, if you look at just our insight on the brand, it's that money, well managed, can make a positive impact on society. You just need to manage it better, right? And so every campaign that we do on the brand is about challenging people to manage their money better, whether it's about saying to them, don't spend so much. So the whole consumerism stuff that we as marketers and advertisers have actually put into the world, spend, spend, spend. We challenge people to say, no, don't. Actually, like, that's not good for you. We challenge people around, talking about money. It's very fascinating for us as a bank because actually there's so many things that money can play a role for in society, but people are really scared to talk about it or just to address it, and so we challenge people in that space to really, how do you talk about money to ensure that you manage it better so that it can impact you, your family, your business, if you're in business, and all of that. The second thing that better means for us is we've signed up to the Sustainable Development Goals in the United Nations. And the way we measure our purpose is we measure it through our achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. And our achievement of those goals is based on how much money we lend to companies and organizations within the Sustainable Development Goals. So, for example, renewable energies. We are moving away from funding fossil, like oil and like fossil fuels and stuff, and moving to much more cleaner energy. And we've made a commitment to say, here's how much we're going to fund. And we are going to achieve that commitment because we strongly believe as a bank that in order for us to be sustainable, we need South Africa to be sustainable or Africa to be sustainable because we're an African bank. There is no way we can be, who are we going to make money from if we don't build a sustainable world? It's such a fascinating thing for me. And it's like, actually, it will make us money when the world is sustainable.
But do you think that all these things, that all the project you're doing, it's also better for the business?
It is, and that is exactly how we think about it, right? We know that when we help people manage their money better, they will come back because they're not in debt, and we can give them a home loan, right? A vehicle financing. So we know that, and that's the sustainability piece that we speak about as a bank, is that when the world is sustainable and better, we know that we make more money. Because if South Africa, so whenever we help with unemployment, we've got very high unemployment in South Africa. We are committed as a bank, and we've got a program that we do called the Youth Employment Services, where the insight that comes from it is that you don't get your first job until you've had a first job. You'll never, like, people they want to know your experience.
Yeah, the paradox that
it's like,
you need to do things before to do things.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what we do is we've created a program where we give about 3,500 people, like young people straight from varsity, their first job for a year at least, so that they can say that I've had my first job. And with that, we understand that those 3,500, they might not stay working for us, they might go elsewhere, but they put money into the economy, and they become our future potential customers at some stage. So we are incredibly clear that profit and purpose can live together.
So nice from a bank to hear these things from a bank. So let's move on. Fly high.
Yeah.
So let's see how big we can dream. Okay. So I don't know if it for you it's a problem, but I think that a lot of people here think that is a problem. So the budget problem. So assume that you have unlimited budget. What project you start tomorrow?
One of the things that I'm incredibly passionate about in the space of GBV, so domestic abuse, is financial abuse. So what we've done research that shows that in 99% of instances where there is domestic abuse, there's also financial abuse. So what I would want to do is really push the brand. For example, many men, and I'll say men, because financial can go, but it's normally men, right? A lot of men will take out loans in their wife's name, and the wife has no idea. Or even if she does, he forces her to sign. Loan, right? Yeah. And now you want to leave the guy who's abusing you, and you can't because there's this debt that you have. And the conversations that we're having in the bank, which I'm still trying to push through, is when a woman comes and says, I never signed for this, we shouldn't ask you questions. We should write it off. And yes, there's a risk that people will lie, but more people won't lie. More people will feel like, as a bank, we are there for them in their time of need. So financially, and this is where for me creativity like matters, because the people think about it only in the advert. I think it's in the doing, the service that we offer. So if we offer a service where we write that debt off because you say I never signed for it and I've left my husband and I'm trying to make like the best of my life, we write it off. But what it can do as well from a communication perspective, imagine how powerful that is for a bank to say, we want to ensure that you can live your best life and leave the guy who's abusing you and not worry about the fact that you're in debt. We will help you with that. Imagine the communication that could come out of that.
The trust that you
The trust we build, the
Yeah.
loyalty we build. It's on another level, but we're a bank as well. So, like, some of the, I mean, our chief risk officer is like, so we're just going to sign right off debt just like that.
Yeah.
And I'm going, we need to, though.
No, but it's amazing the project you share, but it's also a matter of of trust. I mean, to do something with.
Yeah.
And not to have to fight
Absolutely.
every time, even
Absolutely.
because sometimes also the perceive that we have when we go to a bank is to have a fight with, not that we can do something, build something to that.
In fact, that is, you've just clicked something in my mind, because you're right. And that's the point about me saying they don't have to prove it, because that's the fight. You must now prove that you're going through this.
Prove me that I'm wrong. Yeah, I know. But from a CMO point of view, one project that, in your opinion, every brand should do.
Jeez, one project that every brand should do. That's interesting. I'm going to think. You know what? I can't say, because remember, I believe that it completely depends on your purpose and your insight as a brand. So it would be different for everyone. Where I would challenge brands is not necessarily one project, but is to think about what the United Nations did with the Sustainable Development Goals. I call those consumer needs. So zero poverty, free education, or education for all. Actually, it doesn't say, it says education for all. Renewable energy, all of that stuff is what consumers need to live a happy life, to live a more sustainable and fulfilled life. And I would challenge every brand to think about their role in building
and do their part.
and do
Maybe
their part.
maybe a tiny one.
Yeah.
Okay. So apart climbing of Kilimanjaro, biggest risk you took to fly high, but would take again. So you think it's worth it?
As I did the CMO battle, the last campaign that I showed, which was Secrets campaign, this was in 2019. I'd been a CMO of the bank for 1 year, and we filmed this 15-minute movie, and completely unbranded in terms of how it went into market. No one knew it was a bank. They thought there was this movie called Secrets that was coming out and stuff. And when we launched it, it just took South Africa by complete storm. I have to tell you, it was the most bravest campaign I've ever done in my career. I was incredibly nervous. I remember thinking, if I was on holiday just before it launched, and I called one of the executives who reports to me, and I said, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I was like, I am really nervous. And funny enough, she was saying, she's talking to me, her boss, and going, no, you'll be fine. And I needed her to actually tell me that. And my poor husband, who's not even enjoying his holiday, his wife is so stressed and stuff. And I also remember we'd shown it before we launched it. We showed it to the top 200 leaders of the bank. And the room was 50%. We think this is great. 50%. We hate this. She is messing our brand up. And then it landed, and it was the most successful campaign we've ever done. Just today at the CMO battle, it actually won, right, for entertainment, in terms of the battle. And this is a campaign we did in 2019. So it's, 6 years later, is still really impactful, when you watch it. But it was also the start of our journey as Nedbank, where I said, we're going to use creativity to ensure that we showcase our purpose, we grow our business, and we grow our brand, and we make a positive impact on society. That was the first campaign where we showed Africa what we wanted to do. So I'm really proud of it.
Wow. So taking rips with the first step.
With the first.
Yeah.
Take it.
Okay, so let's move on to explain better. So I think that we both know that words matter for everyone, but when the audience change, like the grandma before, we need to so maybe choose words in a different way. So if you have to explain to a child, better is
Good. I'm talking to my nephews and my niece. Good.
But and if you have to explain the concept of better to, I don't know if your CEO is skeptical, but to a
He's
skeptical,
a chartered accountant.
so to a skeptical CEO, better is.
Shareholder profit.
Okay. It's more. Okay, let's continue playing with better choice. So we know that life is made of choice. So I'm glad to ask you: purpose or profit?
Do I have to choose?
No. So it's the game.
Yeah. Purpose.
Why?
It will lead to profit.
Okay. And maybe you already answered me, but it's worth a try. Creativity or strategy?
Creativity. I think, I'll explain. Strategy is just a document that's on the paper. Creativity is creativity in products, creativity in communication, creativity in
Decision making also.
the choices you make and stuff. So for me, creativity absolutely.
Okay. And awards or business impact?
Awards are really nice. But I'm going to say business impact, because business impact allows me to have a more long-term career at the bank, and hopefully at some stage I'll win awards.
So you can take more risk and try to win
Try to
awards.
win.
Okay. So thank you so much. And we are just last question, maybe
Yeah.
a couple of minutes more together. Better future. So at Videns, the name of our podcast, we strongly believe that those who learn inherit the future.
Ah, I love that.
So what, in your opinion, must we learn today to be better tomorrow, or maybe to create a better tomorrow?
I think what we must learn is being curious is an amazing strength. And when I say curious, it's firstly curiosity about yourself. I think when you understand yourself better and you try to understand why you react, how you can be your best in situations, or what drives you. So when you understand better yourself and you're curious about what who you are, that's amazing, because you understand how you're going to react in certain situations and all of that, and you're able to manage yourself. And then you've got to be curious about the world that you live in. I mean, it's always fascinating for me. The first time I was in Milan was 2005. I came with my friends, and we did the typical tour, Il Duomo, everything you would
So
think.
the must scene.
Everything you would think about. And then I was in Milan actually 2 weeks ago. I came for the Grand Prix, and I'd never really been to Monza. Obviously, I would watch, Temple of Speed and all of that. And then I was like, why do they call it Temple of Speed? And I started Googling, and then I started understanding. And I love that, because I learn about something that is, I live in South Africa, which is, completely the other way. But all of a sudden, I can talk about Monza and the Temple of Speed in a way that I wouldn't have been able to if I wasn't curious. And I think just like I said, you asking me how are things in South Africa, curious about the world and other people, it helps you build connection. It helps you, even I think as a marketer, you've always have to have an outside-in lens, because when you understand what's happening in the world, I think you become a much better marketer, because you're not a marketer who just knows your own brand and your own company. And then curious about your brand. And so when I started on the bank and I repositioned it, I went back to the roots of the brand. And so the repositioning of See Money differently went back to what Nedbank was about. Yes, it made it contemporary and new and modern, but people who would have experienced this brand 50 years ago will look at it now and go, the communication is really creative, it's interesting, but it's actually the Nedbank that I know. So people come on brands and sort of look at the last 5 years of the brand or 10 years. I always say go back to the roots of the brand. And as a marketer, you'll make a much more positive impact.
So try to see things.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for being with me. It was really a pleasure.
No,
Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Grazie mille.